Welcome to the Crypto Show. Here we are at the WCC 2019 in Las Vegas. Crazy ass Las Vegas, man. It's been a crazy week. Have you been here all week? I'm speaking with Diego Salazar of a very unknown coin. It's very private. If I tell you what the coin is, I'll have to kill you.
Yeah, definitely. Nobody knows within the community. Nobody knows what we're working on.
Right.
Everyone just contributes random bits of code and hope that they kind of mesh together well.
Cool. And in order to get into the secret society, you have to know a ring signature, right?
Yeah. So this whole ring signature thing, like you take a literal ring, right? And
you punch your friend in the face.
Yes.
And if it leaves a mark, then he's in.
He's in the club.
He's in the club. And this is basically the technology behind Monero. That's all there is to it. If you see a dude with a big bruise and God, I hope I hope nobody punches me with a penis ring. That would look really bad.
Yeah. I would say so.
Okay. We're having a little fun here. It's been a fun time. I've enjoyed this conference. So tell me, Diego, how did you get involved with Monero and what drew you to Monero?
Yeah, actually, so I started not looking into cryptocurrency as cryptocurrency. I started a little design firm for myself, right? And design is a really crowded space these days, and so you got to find your little niche. And I remember like open source projects, like those have like the worst design. And I remember Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, and one of them had just the most awful website, the most awful everything. Couldn't remember for the life of me which one it was. So I started clicking through all of them. I found it. I remembered the website. It was so bad. It was Monero. And so I went to them. I'm like, guys, I could clean all this up, right? And so they told me, yeah, that's kind of interesting, and we're interested. So let's have you read what we're all about, just so you can catch the vision and know what we're about, so you can make a good design. So that's what I did. And after I had read it, I was like, oh shoot, this stuff could change the world, right? So now I'm still here. I did redo their website, and I'm still here even after that. So I came peddling my wares, so to speak, and they made me a Monero convert. I would say that I've always been a cypherpunk at heart. I've just never had a vocabulary or a framework to kind of speak about it. And so when I read the stuff in Monero, it already really resonated with me, the stuff I already believed. So I'm actually one of the few people that jumped right over Bitcoin. Never was a Bitcoin person first and then into Monero. I just jumped right into Monero.
And tell the history of Monero. It's a fork of Bytecoin, and what happened to Bytecoin?
Monero started as a scam. So Bytecoin was this big, gigantic
scam. Instamine?
Yeah, Bytecoin basically mined 90% of their stuff, and they try to tell the community like, oh, see, the reason 90% is gone is because this has been a thing for 3 years on the darknet, and that's why 90% of it has been mined already. But nobody was fooled. Nobody from the darknet had ever heard of Bytecoin, and they're like, no, you guys just took a 90% pre-mine. But the technology they made was pretty good. They had put out a couple white papers, and like it was actually pretty decent technology. Wasn't perfect, and the implementation, the code itself was pretty mediocre. But so after that, after Bytecoin failed, the Bytecoin people actually made a lot of sock puppets and made forks of Bytecoin, even though they themselves were still the Bytecoin people, but it was just under a bunch of sock puppet names, to try to see if Bytecoin fails, maybe we can get
kind of like masturbation. Go fork yourself, right?
Yeah. And BitMonero was one of those. It was run by a guy called Thankful for Today. It was started by a guy called Thankful for Today, who was highly suspected to be affiliated with the Bytecoin people. And he's like, this was the honest one. And the community very quickly realized that Thankful for Today was not an honest guy. He was not a good guy. So we kicked him out of the community and took it for ourselves, renamed it Monero, and it's been a thing ever since. So we're similar to Bitcoin in that we don't have our founder with us, but Satoshi Nakamoto was not a scammer, but our Satoshi was a scammer. But in both ways, they're no longer with us.
That's funny. I know I was previously sponsored by Dash, and I sat back and watched the mudslinging between Dash and Monero over Instamines and everything else not being private. And I mean, to be fair for Dash, I don't think they ever claimed to be a super privacy coin. They never really made any more statement than, hey, we're using CoinJoin and some features that Amir Taki created in Dark Wallet, and that's about it.
It depends on who you talk to in the community. But yeah.
Well, and also, like, over the last 2 years, I've sat and watched them, their CEO, which is not actually Dash, it's just a proposal owner who that calls themselves the Dash Core Group,
right?
Avoid any publicly saying that it's a privacy coin. They're actually trying to avoid talking about being a privacy coin. They just want to be a payments network.
Sure. But you got to wonder, like, where does that come from? Are they doing this just because of optics? They're trying to downplay whatever privacy thing they're trying to do.
They want to be PayPal. They want to be crypto PayPal.
Yeah,
that's the focus. From what I see.
Okay, I think that's a pretty tall order when their major competition is things like Nano, which is pretty feeless. And I mean, to be fair, Nano is very, very unproven. So I bring that up just as kind of competitor's sake. So don't take this as a recommendation to anybody. It's extraordinarily unproven. And so it's almost like Dash tries to do. It's funny that I'm talking about Dash, but anyway, Dash tries to bring a lot of things. They try to be as cheap as possible. They try to be as instant as possible. They try to be, have some privacy features. But they do a lot of things, and I wouldn't say they do any of them particularly better than anyone else. They just try to bring them all into one thing. Is that enough? We don't know. We'll have to find out, right?
Well, the funding model is what makes that attractive. Is
sure.
Like especially in Venezuela. Of course, a lot of the volume that is in Venezuela is coming from the proposal owners. It's coming out of the proposal owners' pockets, and that's why, so that's how the money's actually flowing in. I don't think there's a lot of actual remittance into Venezuela using Dash. The honest truth is it's Bitcoin. They're using local Bitcoins, and that's how crypto's getting in if it's not being mined there.
Yeah. It's at the very least, Dash has a lot more money to throw around than Monero does. Since Monero has no sort of dev fund, treasury, pre-mine, ICO, we're just dirt poor.
Tell me about anything. Yeah, you guys are funded through donations from the community, and that's a very altruistic way of doing it. But recently, Ricardo put out some tweet about something that he was adding, and I guess it was some kind of a funding mechanism.
Yeah.
I forget, what was that called?
So.
But he was just trolling Dash, or what?
Right. So Fluffy Pony has started his own kind of alternative thing that he's building on top of Monero, leveraging Monero's security of mining. So this thing called Tari.
Exactly.
And so Tari is its own thing. It is separate from Monero, but they want to contribute to the Monero ecosystem. So they're, from what I understand, at the Monero Conferenza that took place in Denver this past June, he was talking about kind of like a grant structure where they would be able to give grants to people who want to work on either Tari things or Monero things. So that's kind of exciting because we would have a little bit more money to play around with than this whole donation Kickstarter.
But it's not a master node treasury system like Dash.
To my understanding, no.
Okay. I know. Because the Dash Force News or whatever, they were like, oh, look, Fluffy Pony's doing a master node. And then it just turned out he was trolling them. So I thought that was hilarious. I guess you got to look before you leap.
There's still, I think, a fair amount of bad blood between the communities.
Yeah.
And honestly, that was kind of before my time. I've only been here like 2.5 years. Yeah. And so we were kind of exiting the shadow cash age, exiting the super kind of dark coin versus Monero age.
Yeah.
And again, some of that bad blood still exists, but for the most part, they've kind of gone their own separate directions and done their own things too.
I don't think it's actually the developers. It's just like the Twitterverse, that the fanboys that are out there slinging mud at each other. And it's not the actual projects themselves. Yeah. So that's cool. So explain to me how a ring signature works.
Okay, so without slides or a deck or anything, it's a little more difficult. But the idea is behind a ring signature that we want to obfuscate where each output is coming from. So you can think of an output like a dollar bill, right? If we want to not know which dollar bill it is on the chain. So what we do is you put your dollar bill on the table and you choose 10 fake dollar bills that look real and are real. They were past dollar bills on the chain and we don't know if they're spent or not. And we put them all on the table. One of them is real, and the person on the receiving end is able to take the real dollar bill without knowing who it really came from. So you're mixing yourself. It's not really mixing, but it's most likened to mixing. So I say that for clarity's sake. It's not mixing, but
so this
you
is
can
like
understand it that way.
It's a lot like the firing squad and the fake bullets.
Pretty much, yes. Yes, nobody knows who was the real person.
One of you motherfuckers shot the dude, but we don't know who did it.
That's actually a very good way of putting it, yes.
Wow. Hey, that's the smartest thing I've said all fucking week, and I didn't even know.
Yeah. So but that's just one. That's actually the weakest part of Monero's privacy stack. So we actually have three things. We have the ring signatures. We have ring CT to hide the amounts, and then we have stealth addresses to hide the recipients of it. So the ring signatures just hide the senders. And what this multi-layered level of privacy does is that now if one of them is weak, like ring signatures are pretty weak, the others can compensate for those weaknesses. So even if you can crack a ring signature, which is bad, trust me, but even if you can do that, it's not damning evidence, because we do have these other features that are kind of covering for that. So you get some metadata, but it's not damning metadata. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I interviewed Ruben Yap from Zcoin recently.
Yeah, I like that guy.
And he said that you guys are looking at some of the technology, Sigma and Lelantis.
Yeah. So our Monero Research Lab that we've got going on, they look at all the new privacy stuff that comes on. What can we implement into Monero? Is there a better protocol that we should switch to than this whole three-prong scheme? And Sigma Lelantis is something we have been looking at, and MRL is still kind of, the jury is out a little bit onto whether or not any parts of this or all of this can be implemented. So, things are very open. The Monero Research Lab has a weekly meeting on Mondays in IRC for all you nerds out there who want to go onto IRC. And it's very open. The logs are posted publicly and stuff. So if anyone's curious about what Monero thinks about all of those things, I think they're discussed fairly frequently.
And when in that discussion with Ruben, it was the reason I reached out to him is because they were putting in chain locks from Dash, because he said that was a great technology, thought it was a great idea. Are you familiar with that, and do you have an opinion on
so
what
the chain locks is this idea that master nodes, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just trying to see if I got this right, that master nodes are able to kind of confirm a transaction before it is confirmed on a block, by taking almost miniature snapshots. And maybe I have the fine details of this wrong, so Dash people, don't crucify me, please. Because I admittedly do not know.
I don't either.
But in some way, the master nodes are
I need help opening my email.
Sure. So. In some way, the master nodes are able to kind of take a miniature snapshot, so that way zero confirmation transactions are much safer. And what this does means that even if you have a 2-minute, 10-minute block time, you can still safely accept zero confirmation transactions, right? So all of this, in terms of security, predicates on the master nodes on if that security model is safe or not, which the Dash people think it is. Some other people think it's not. Some other people think it is, right?
Well, I guess if somebody cracks it and proves them wrong, well, then the proof would be in the pudding.
Yeah, see, I'll be very honest. When somebody's like, oh yeah, if you think this is so crackable, then why don't you crack it? It's like, dude, I am not your threat model. Diego Salazar is not your threat model. I have neither the time, the resources, nor the care. I have a life, I have a wife, I have chickens, and I work out, man. That's my life, okay? So, like, if you expect me to go crack this thing, even if you've got, a bounty for it, like, I'm not your threat model. The threat model is the people that do have the time, that do have the resources. So, really, all of these challenges that
maybe
people
more
are
master nodes.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid all around, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Jeez, you got on a roll there, and then I lost what I said. The chain locks was actually not the core team. It was just another guy who had put in a proposal. From a guy out of Arizona, I forget his name, but he was a digital asset investment management, and he put in the proposal for deterministic master nodes.
Cool.
And had nothing to do with the core team. And I think they took it from there, and then
that's kind of how the most recent Bulletproofs thing went with Monero. For those who don't know, Bulletproofs launched last year.
Andrew Polstra, Brian Bishop,
Poodle,
Bunce, Benjamin Bunce, and Peter Willow.
Yep. And we
had him on the show.
It had nothing to do with the Monero guys, but it worked really well as a drop-in replacement for our current confidential transaction scheme. So fantastic.
That did cause a problem for Edge, apparently, because when they implemented Bulletproofs, there was no warning, and then Edge had a problem with the wallet. Paul had told me about that.
Oh, really? What do you mean? No, when Monero implemented Bulletproofs, there was no warning?
That's what there was. He didn't get any warning and wasn't able to update the wallet, and so the wallet went down on Edge.
Monero did nothing but talk about Bulletproofs for months.
I don't know.
I mean, but maybe we need to do a better job of doing our mailing lists or whatever. But you have to be really disconnected from we were all year. We're like Bulletproofs, man, Bulletproofs.
Well, there's 1,000 coins out there.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah, but see, they're all shit coins though. I mean, I can understand if you're not keeping up with shit coins, but if you're not keeping up with stuff that is actually pushing technology, that's on you, man.
To be fair, Paul with Edge actually does have shit coin. It's It's baked into the back end of the wallet. Their testnet coin is called shitcoin.
Nice.
You can look for shitcoin currency, Edge wallet, whatever. You can go to the GitHub and see all the commits and everything. So that's what they use as shitcoin. So yeah, Edge has shitcoins in their wallet.
Yeah, guys, go check it out if you want literal shitcoins.
So what's new with Monero? I mean, what's the next thing? What are you guys looking to implement next to make it innovative?
The biggest thing coming up right now is RandomX. So Monero has kind of had this little war on ASICs thing going on, where whenever we suspect ASICs are on the network, we hard fork the proof of work scheme. We slightly tweak it to kick them off the network. Mm-hmm. It's just not proving to be sustainable. Every 6 months, it's just a good amount of work. There's not enough time for testing.
Is that kind of like what Digibyte does with the alternate?
That's how they're trying. Like, a lot of people try to solve this in different ways, but really it kicks the can down the road. So what Monero did is we're making one last-ditch effort to solve this problem, and if we don't, we'll probably move to an ASIC-friendly algorithm. But in the meantime, the way we're trying to solve this problem is that, computers operate on a spectrum. On one end, we have CPU, which is in most of our laptops, computers. It does a lot of things, but nothing extraordinarily well. It's a general CPU. It does everything, but nothing well. Mm-hmm. On the other end is an ASIC.
It's great for porn.
Yeah, sure. On the other end, you got an ASIC. You got one thing it can do, and it can do it super, super well, but it can't do anything else. If you tweak literally a tiny thing, it can't do it. And there's a spectrum in between where maybe, like it can do a few things at a more optimized speed than a general CPU. But anyway, what RandomX tries to do is it tries to make the algorithm use as many parts of a general CPU as possible. So in order to make an ASIC, you almost have to reinvent a CPU, period, right? And so it is going to be possible to optimize some of those things, but not everything. So it's our
to be hit and miss on when you're.
So far things look pretty promising, but that's what everybody says before things go live. But a lot of some shitcoins have already launched RandomX just to put it on their networks, and we went through 4 audits. We were talking with some Intel and AMD people who make some of these CPUs, and so far things are looking pretty good. Everybody's pretty positive about it, and we'll just have to see how it works in the wild.
What do you think about Mimblewimble? Would that even work with Monero?
So first of all, Mimblewimble has a very good and very awful name at the same time, but yeah, it's super nerdy. Guys, come on, Harry Potter. Anyway. Mimblewimble is not just something that you can drop in. It's an entirely different scheme. It's an entirely different way of doing things that has some advantages and disadvantages. It sacrifices some privacy. So Monero is more private than any Mimblewimble implementation, but it gains in scalability. So it can scale better than Monero can. Is the trade-off worth it? We don't know. It's a worthwhile experiment to run, because if everybody's running the exact same experiment, then we don't learn anything, right? So we might as well have something that goes all in on privacy like Monero, some things that kind of go halfway and halfway on scalability like Mimblewimble, and something that does no privacy like Bitcoin. They don't do anything of that at all.
It's government too, where I sent my money coin. I mean, you can do things to make it private if you want. Go buy a burner.
Fragile privacy.
Buy a burner phone.
Very fragile privacy.
Yeah,
no, disagree.
Yeah. All right. Well, man, thanks a lot, Diego. That's been insightful for me. I learned a few things, and hopefully someone else will. How can people find out more about you and?
Me in particular, I have a Twitter, which I post on once a year. You can go look me up.
Oh, cool.
Of the Salazar. People say I have a cool name, so why not?
Of the salad jar?
Yes, of the salad bar.
Of the salad bar. There you go.
And you can follow me there. I don't post very often.
He's going to go home and change his Twitter name right now.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, yeah, thanks a lot. Good insight, man. Thanks a lot.